The Dominion arrived with precision, their massive ships blotting out the sky, their intentions clear. Humanity's resistance was swift but futile. What could crude missiles and outdated jets do against quantum shields and beam weapons? Within weeks, Earth was subjugated, and humans found themselves relegated to the lowest caste. Their conquerors dismissed them as insignificant, labeling their emotions and chaotic tendencies as weaknesses. To the Dominion, logic and efficiency were supreme, and humanity was just an obstacle that had been overcome. Marisol Vega walked through the remains of what was once a thriving metropolis. The city's towering skyscrapers now stood hollow, their glass facades shattered and dark. Dominion drones hovered above, scanning the streets for anyone daring enough to defy the curfews. Most people had long since retreated underground, hiding from the watchful eyes of their alien overlords. But not Marisol. She moved with purpose, her dark hair tucked under a battered cap, her sharp eyes scanning for signs of danger. She carried with her the weight of humanity's last chance. "Status?" she asked, her voice low but firm as she activated her communicator. "Clear for now," came the reply from Emilio, her second-in-command and a former Dominion collaborator. His voice held the guilt he still carried, though his actions since defecting had more than earned the trust of the resistance. Marisol ducked into a crumbling building, where the rest of her team waited. A holographic map of Earth hovered above a portable console, displaying the location of Dominion strongholds. Beside it stood Kayla, their tech expert, with fingers stained from endless tinkering, and Darius, an ex-engineer who had managed to repurpose Dominion scrap into tools that shouldn't have worked but somehow did. "The liquidation order comes in 3 days," Kayla said, her voice tight. "Dominion plans to wipe out what's left of us. Every city, every underground shelter. They think we're a waste of resources." A silence fell over the room, broken only by the faint hum of the hologram. It wasn't the first time the Dominion had threatened extinction, but this time it felt final. "Then we don't give them the chance," Marisol said, her tone unyielding. She pointed to a node on the map, a Dominion orbital station. "We hack their central AI. Disable their systems long enough for us to fight back. It's our only shot." "That's impossible," Darius muttered. "Their tech is light years ahead of ours. How do we even get close?" "We exploit their arrogance," Emilio said, his voice carrying a hard edge. "They think we're incapable of understanding their systems. But they haven't accounted for our creativity, or our desperation." Marisol's eyes met his, and for the first time in days, a flicker of hope sparked. The Dominion had calculated everything except one thing: the chaotic, unpredictable, and relentless spirit of humanity. "They think we're nothing," Marisol said, her voice steady and defiant. "Let's show them how wrong they are." Team exchanged grim nods. The fight ahead would be brutal, and survival was far from guaranteed. But for the first time in years, they had something the Dominion couldn't calculate: hope. The plan was ambitious, reckless even, but it was all they had. Marisol laid out the details as the team huddled around the flickering hologram. Their target: the Dominion's orbital station, a heavily fortified hub that controlled the AI network overseeing the fleet. If they could infiltrate it, plant a virus, and destabilize the AI, the Dominion's grip would weaken long enough for humanity to launch coordinated strikes. "This isn't just about shutting down their systems," Marisol said, her tone sharp. "We have to introduce chaos, something their AI can't process. Their efficiency is their strength, but it's also their weakness. They don't know how to handle unpredictability." Darius leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "We'll need to disrupt multiple redundancies. Even if we take out one system, others will compensate. It has to hit everything at once." "That's why we use the ripple effect," Kayla interjected, her voice tinged with both excitement and nerves. "Their AI doesn't account for random variables. If we overload it with contradictory data, false signals, decoy inputs, anything that doesn't compute, it'll start prioritizing incorrectly. It'll choke on its own logic." Marisol nodded. "Exactly. The virus isn't just a shutdown, it's a distraction. While the AI scrambles, we'll hit their defenses where they least expect it. Emilio crossed his arms, his expression skeptical. Getting close enough to upload the virus is a suicide mission. The station's crawling with Dominion troops, and their scanners will pick us up before we're even halfway there. That's where the decoys come in, Marisol replied, her gaze steady. Darius, can you repurpose those Dominion drones we salvaged? Make them look like an attack fleet. I can try, Darius said, already calculating. Won't last long though. Once they figure out it's a ruse. That's all the time we need, Marisol cut in. The drones draw their attention, we slip in through their blind spot, and Kayla gets us into the system. The room fell silent as the weight of the mission settled over them. It wasn't just the complexity of the plan, it was the stakes. Failure meant extinction. But the alternative was doing nothing, waiting for the Dominion to erase them without a fight. We've never had a chance like this before, Marisol said, her voice low but resolute. They think we're incapable, that we're predictable. That's why this will work. Because we're none of those things. Kayla started gathering equipment, her movements quick and efficient. I'll need more time to code the virus. It has to be perfect. Any flaws, and the AI will adapt too quickly. Take what you need, Marisol replied. Darius prioritized the drones. Emilio, get the transport ready. We move tomorrow night. As the team dispersed to prepare, Marisol lingered, staring at the hologram of the Dominion station. She could feel the weight of the mission pressing down on her, but she refused to let it break her. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival, it was fighting to prove it belonged in the universe. And she would see it through, no matter the cost. The transport shuddered as it entered the shadow of the Dominion's orbital station, the massive structure looming like a metallic predator in the void. Marisol's team was silent, each member focused on their role. Kayla's fingers moved rapidly over her console, finalizing the virus, while Darius double-checked the drones from his station. Outside, the decoy fleet of modified Dominion drones sprang to life, splitting into erratic attack patterns that mimicked disorganized human tactics. It was chaos by design, and it worked. Dominion ships are moving to intercept, Emilio reported, his voice steady despite the tension. They're buying it for now. Marisol tightened her grip on the rail as the transport weaved through the station's perimeter defenses, keeping low to avoid detection. Stick to the plan. We're not out of this yet. The first hiccup came faster than expected. A Dominion patrol ship veered off course, its scanners sweeping dangerously close. Emilio jerked the controls, narrowly avoiding detection, but the delay brought them perilously close to a defense turret. Turrets locking on, Kayla shouted. Not for long, Darius growled, launching a burst of electromagnetic interference. The turret hesitated, its targeting systems momentarily blinded, giving them just enough time to slip into the station's docking bay. They moved quickly, each step rehearsed a dozen times but still fraught with tension. Kayla led the way, her small frame making her the least conspicuous as she navigated the Dominion's sterile corridors. Their stolen Dominion armor provided limited disguise, but any closer inspection would expose them. AI hub is 2 levels up, Kayla whispered. I'll need at least 5 minutes to get the virus uploaded once we're there. 5 minutes is all you'll get, Marisol replied. Reaching the AI core was harder than expected. A Dominion patrol blocked their path, forcing the team to improvise. Darius rigged a small explosion down a secondary hallway, luring the guards away, but it left them exposed. As they moved past the now empty corridor, a drone appeared, its scanners humming to life. Disable it, Marisol hissed, but Kayla had already leaped forward, jamming a device into the drone's port. The machine sputtered, its lights flickering out, but not before it sent a brief alert. They know we're here, Emilio said grimly. Then we move faster, Marisol shot back. Reaching the AI core felt like a small victory, but the real challenge was just beginning. Kayla plugged in her device, the virus uploading with agonizing slowness. Alarms blared as Dominion reinforcements closed in. Darius and Emilio took defensive positions, using scavenged weapons to hold them off. We're outnumbered, Emilio called, taking down a Dominion soldier. "Keep holding," Marisol ordered, firing alongside him. Kayla's voice cut through the chaos. "It's done. Virus is in." The AI hub flickered, its lights dimming as the virus took hold. Across the station, systems began to fail, doors locking randomly, turrets firing at nothing, and Dominion soldiers scrambling in confusion. Marisol grabbed Kayla, pulling her toward the exit. Time to go. Their escape was a blur of gunfire and chaos, but as they boarded their transport, the station behind them erupted in disarray. The virus had done its job, and for the first time humanity had the upper hand. The transport sped away from the station as explosions rippled through its structure. Dominion ships scrambled, their movements erratic as the AI network failed to issue coherent commands. Marisol stood near the viewport, watching the chaos unfold. She allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction, but the weight of what came next quickly sobered her. This wasn't over, not yet. Kayla slumped into a seat, her exhaustion evident. The virus is working better than expected. Their fleet's communications are in complete disarray. "But it won't last," Emilio said, wiping blood from a cut on his forehead. "They'll figure out the pattern eventually. Adapt." Marisol turned to her team, her expression resolute. "That's why we need to move fast. The resistance needs to hit them now, while they're vulnerable. This is our chance to turn the tide." The team's radio crackled to life, patched into a hidden frequency. A voice came through, rough but triumphant. "This is Resistance Command. We're seeing disruptions across Dominion sectors. Your mission, did you actually pull it off?" "Better believe it," Marisol replied. "Their systems are compromised. Tell everyone to hit their targets now. We've given you the window, don't waste it." As the call ended, Marisol turned her focus back to Earth. Already, reports were coming in of resistance groups striking Dominion outposts. Ordinary citizens were rising up, inspired by the chaos. Marisol knew not all of them would survive, but for the first time in years, humanity had hope. Kayla pulled up a display on her console, showing the virus's spread. "It's reaching their fleet commanders now. Look at this. Dominion ships are firing on each other. They don't know who's friend or foe." Darius let out a low whistle. "Guess they never accounted for humans being this unpredictable." "They never thought we'd fight back this hard," Marisol said quietly. The Dominion's response was as calculated as ever, even in their confusion. A broadcast cut across all channels, the voice of a Dominion overseer echoing with cold precision. "Humans of Earth, this resistance is futile. Surrender now, and you will be spared. Resist further, and your annihilation is guaranteed." Marisol stared at the transmission, her jaw tightening. She stepped forward, activating the transport's communicator. "This is Marisol Vega of the Human Resistance. You underestimated us once. Don't make that mistake again. Humanity doesn't bow. Not now, not ever." The overseer didn't reply, but the broadcast abruptly cut off. For a moment, silence filled the transport. Then Emilio chuckled, a weary but genuine sound. "You think they got the message?" "They will," Marisol said. As the transport descended into Earth's atmosphere, the scale of the uprising became clear. Fires burned in Dominion-controlled zones, but they were the fires of rebellion. People flooded the streets, armed with whatever they could find, pushing back against their oppressors. Marisol's team landed near a resistance stronghold, greeted by cheers and relief. But the victory felt heavy. The cost had been high, and it wasn't over. Marisol looked up at the night sky, where Dominion ships still hovered. The virus had bought them time, but the fight for freedom would be long. Still, for the first time in years, humanity wasn't just surviving, it was fighting back. And it was winning.